Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today, half-time report for May. We're going to take a quick look at the Narwhal pens and how I've been getting on with them. For the discussion part of today's video, what I'm going to do is answer some questions that have been asked in the YouTube comments, and they're around my thoughts on the TWSBI versus Narwhal versus Moonman debate that's going on at the moment. So I'll share my opinions on that as well later on in the video. To start, let's take a look at this month's pens. So I'm going to fetch in the first two. First two, these are both Narwhal Schuylkills. Chromis Teal, this one's got the Narwhal nib, it's a medium. And in the Porpita navy, this one's got a Bock nib. I know when I did the original video I said, yeah, I was wrong. I don't know why I kept saying that. It's a Bock nib, it's a medium nib. I've been enjoying both of these. With the Chromis Teal, that actually ran out of ink on the first day I used it. I knew it was fairly low, so I changed the ink so it no longer has that Diamine eau de Neil. It's now got this gorgeous Colorverse ink, dark energy. I think it looks so nice. With the Porpita Navy, I don't know if you can see, with the ink window, when I was doing my writing today, this is virtually out of ink. This pen's going to get cleaned out today. I'm not sure if I'm going to fill it again or if I'll just run with the 5 pens for the rest of the month. I'm tempted to leave it, but there's a little part of me saying, Gary, you've tried that Bock nib on there. I do get some little issues with that, in that it seems to click when I'm writing, so I'm wondering if it's not a perfect fit for the housing. I may try putting in another Jowo nib to see how that goes. I've got a broad nib. I think that would look nice in here as well. The next pens we'll look at, again, we'll fetch out in twos. These are my Key West pens. So we've got this gorgeous, it's more like a browny yellow colour. And then we've got the purple here. But they're both full of sparkles, aren't they? Just look at that. With the yellow one, that's got Colorverse Martian in it. I'm loving that ink. I've only got a few drops left in my ink file, so I think once this runs out, I'll put them last few drops into here, then that will be done. It's a perfect match for this pen. I think they look so nice together. And will I get another ink sample? Not sure. I'm tempted to get a bottle of the ink, but there's two things really putting me off that. The first one is the cost. It's quite expensive here in Australia. And the second one is the wife. I'm on an ink buy-in ban at the moment because I've got so many different inks. So, not sure, but I just love the combination of this pen and Colorverse Martian. The other pen here, the purple one, well, that started the month off with Cult Pens Little Pip, made for them by Diamine. That ran out, oops, almost dropped it there. That ran out partway through the month. So what I did is I changed that for Van Diemen's Twilight Mist. Again, it's a nice purple ink. When you look in the bottle, there's a lot of shimmer there, but I don't see any of it in the writing so far. I'm going to use this a bit more. I do agitate it regularly. I gave the bottle a good shake. I know that shimmer then, it was well and truly distributed. Just doesn't seem to be coming out when I'm writing. So that's something for me to look at in the second part of this month, is to use this purple pen a little bit more. The next two pens, both really the same body shape, both the Narwhal Nautilus shape. This is the first one. This was one of the first models. I think this was a special edition or limited edition pen when it came out. It's the, I'm going to really butcher this, like Pelagia Noctiluca. I'm not really good with the Latin pronunciations. It's an ebonite pen. I love the material of this. This one's got a double broad nib. Gives a nice generous line. I enjoy writing with this. I have noticed a couple of times I'm seeing a little bit of railroading, especially when I'm doing a line down. So whether that's how I'm using it or whether I need to just tweak the nib a little bit, I'm not certain. It's only ever happened on Rhodia paper. All my other papers, no problem. And I love the red ink in here. The red ink is called St. George's Cross by Pure Pens. The reason why I put this red ink in here, well, it's been there really since the start of February. But I was planning well ahead with that. St. George's Day, 23rd of April, I wanted to have a nice red ink for that, the red from the St. George's Cross, and also the ink called St. George. So I thought, perfect. This just all lined up. My final pen that I've been using, this is the most beautiful pen in my collection. It is so pretty. I'm going to slowly turn it around while I'm talking. This is, again, it's that Nautilus body shape. And this is the 2021 365 edition. And it's Cano Cristales. Yes, I know we've just jumped. I'm trying to pronounce this material name and really struggling with it today. It's Jonathan Brooks Primary Manipulation. I got it out eventually. This is so pretty. And from pictures that I've been sent and pictures I've seen, this material really, it's different in all the pens. So it's quite a unique pen, isn't it? It's so pretty. It's got a medium nib. Unfortunately, that's all there was left when I bought the pen. I only got it recently because I had to save the money to buy it. But, oh wow, that is so beautiful, this pen. I don't think I can see any reason why I won't have it inked up all the time. Writes nice. I love the shape of these Nautilus pens. To me, they fit so well in my hand. They're so comfy to use. Whereas the other ones, they can feel a little bit narrow. So that's my quick wrap up of the pens I've been using. Let's move on into the discussion section. This topic around the TWSBI issue that's going on at the moment, I really think it's one of these things, in Star Trek terms, it's Kobayashi Maru. It's a no-win situation. So quick background to this. Again, this is just from what I've found on the internet. Problem with anything on the internet, you can't 100% guarantee that it's factual. But from what I've read, a while ago, TWSBI sent an email to their retailers, and they're essentially saying, right, you've got two choices. You can stock TWSBI pens, or you can stock Narwhal and Moonman. If you sell either Narwhal or Moonman, we will not provide you with any stock of TWSBI pens. And obviously, this kicked off so much conversation. I think the actual conversation is really good because it really needed to happen. So in one respect, I think TWSBI has done a really good thing. When I think about it though, well, my opinion is quite muddled with this. Now, please remember, these are all my own opinions, and these are based on the research I've done over the past couple of days. I will state out, I am not an engineer. To me, there's only so many ways you can take a tube. I'm going to fetch here a TWSBI Eco. You've got a tube, you've got a piston filler in it. There's only so many ways you can do this and that it will actually work. If you change too much, if the tube's too wide, you never get ink staying in. It flows right behind the mechanism. If the mechanism is too small, again, it flows behind the mechanism. The mechanism needs to be able to handle going up and down. So it needs to have that flexibility in there as well. So to my mind, and as I say, I'm not an engineer, there's only so many ways you can do that. Now, is the TWSBI way the only way? I don't think so, but it might be the only practical way. We've also got to remember that TWSBI were not the first ones to come up with this. Again, for my background reading, I'm looking down at my notes so I make sure I get my numbers right. Pelican first came up with the idea of a piston filler in 1929. So it's not something that TWSBI invented or designed. TWSBI, from what I've found, don't have any patents on the mechanism, so it's not something they've got legal protection from. On the 1st of May, TWSBI sent a follow-up email. Again, this is just something I've found on the internet, so I cannot guarantee if it's truthful or not. But this is what I've seen, so I'm going to report it as something I've seen. In there, they state that piston fillers and caps are not a proprietary technology, and several companies have piston mechanisms. Yep, well and good. What they call out a lot in that letter is they are targeting 2 provinces in China as copying these. Now, I agree. These are very close. But as I said earlier, there's only so many ways you can do a piston mechanism. One of the things I find interesting with this is we've got to look at a bigger picture, at the geopolitical picture of this. I know, getting really technical now. Just going to turn my page. So, Taiwan. Taiwan's actually an island, and its official name is the Republic of China. Mainland China, its official name is the People's Republic of China. Both Taiwan, or the Republic of China, and mainland China, or the People's Republic of China, claim both mainland and the island of Taiwan as their own. So there's a real long political history, and it's still going on. Whether that factors in, I don't know, because, as I say, they're only targeting what they call 2 provinces in China. I just think it's interesting. A lot of people, they mention about poor quality of stuff coming from China. I've got to be honest, virtually everything in this office has come from China. The clothes I'm wearing, they was likely have originated in China. The computer, the microphone, the iPad I'm using, the phone with a camera, all of them made in China. So China doesn't necessarily mean poor quality, but we quite often associate it with that. Just going to turn my page back. So yes, they're saying about these being copies. One of my counter-arguments to this is I use the fact that these are copies to let me check out pens before I spend a lot of money on a really expensive pen. 2 prime examples here. The first one is the Moonman M800, which is very, very similar to the Leonardo Momento Zero. I got the M800s first. I liked the body shape. I liked the way they felt. I then used that and I bought a Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. So much different. The pen, the Leonardo, you're paying a lot more money for it, but you can feel that extra quality. It then led me to buy another 2 Leonardos and then pens from another 2 Italian companies. So in that respect, it was like a gateway pen into getting into those more expensive. The same can be said of the Wingsung 699, which is very similar to a Pilot Custom 823. I got the 699, played around with it. I've got to be honest, I actually had quite a bad experience with the vacuum filler in it, but the body shape, that was what I liked. I threw that 699 in the bin because it really was a pain. But I did buy that Pilot Custom 823. So again, buying that cheaper clone, I'm not going to say copy because they're not copies, but they're clones or clone-like pens, led me into that bigger purchase. Another thing with the Chinese pens, we've got to be honest, they are fairly inexpensive, although I have noticed that they're getting more and more pricier as time goes on. I've got a load of Chinese pens. You know, this is my collection of, oops, not the wrong box. This is my collection of Moonman pens. You know, so I've got quite a few. I enjoy these pens. I enjoy writing with them. Are they ideal? No. Are there quality issues? Well, yeah, they feel cheap. They feel what they are. But I know that. They're not advertising them as Leonardo's. They're advertising them as Moonman or Martian pens. So in that respect, you know, I don't really mind because I know what I'm getting. You know, I do like the Moonman pens. As you can see, I've got all these Moonman pens. I do like the Narwhal pens. I mean, this month, I'm just picking these all up. This month is all Narwhal pens. Look, there we go. I also like TWSBI pens. Here's my TWSBI pen collection. You know, and of that, 4 of those are inked up. You know, I've always got at least 2 TWSBIs inked up all the time, so it's not that I don't like them. But I just think the way they're going about it, it's a bit like a bully boy attitude. You know, the TWSBI pens, they're good. They're workhorse pens. They work write really well. They're reliable. I've not had an issue with any of them. The only thing I would say, they're not really exciting in the way of looks. You know, we've got these two here. Yes, I've got the Draco. That's got a nicer pattern to it. But they're not something which really sets you on fire. But they write well, they work well, they're reliable. With the Narwhal pens, I'm only going to fetch a couple of them in. They look so much nicer. I love the patterns, I love the colourings. There's something interesting to look at in every single one of the pens. The writing experience, I'm going to say because they've got that number 6 nib, I can change them easier. Whereas with the TWSBIs, they use that number 5 size nib on most of their pens. They're still nice to use though. I still enjoy using them. I enjoy writing with them. One of the things I will say with Narwhal, I'm noticing that the pens are getting more expensive. You know, with the Schuylkills, they were, I'm going to say about $60 Australian. Similar price with the Key West. The Narwhal, here, the Nautilus, about $200. And you don't want to know how much that 365 cost. That was a lot more. But I think a lot of that was in buying the material. So, something to be aware of. Narwhal, I've noticed, do seem to be getting a little bit more expensive. I went and looked on a number of websites because when I'm filming this, it's actually he's looking for a date. He's got that many computers around him. Nothing tells me what the date is. Here we go. It's Monday, the 9th of May.
It's Monday, the 9th of May, 2022.
There you go. Even Siri agrees with me. So I did a bit of looking over the weekend. I only looked at 4 websites. Of those 4 websites, 3 of them are still selling TWSBI and Narwhal. There's only one site that I looked at that's only selling TWSBI, but I hadn't looked at it before, so I don't know if they stocked Narwhal previously. So I don't know. Maybe they're using this to actually sell down their Narwhal stock and they're not getting any more in. Maybe they're calling TWSBI's bluff. Maybe it's just all a storm in a teacup. So what are my opinions on this issue? Well, as I've already said, I think TWSBI are going about this in a bit of a buddy boy sort of way. There's so many different ways they could have gone through it, and they may have tried them in the past. I don't know. As I've already said, I'm going from very limited information from what I've been able to read on the internet. And again, as I've said, you can't guarantee if that's truthful or not. One of the things that I would say is, well, if TWSBI don't want to sell to a particular retail, that's fine. They're perfectly within their rights to do that. I think for me, one of the things I don't like is the fact they're moving this onus, though, onto the retailers. They're making the retailers choose. I think that's wrong. A retailer, they should be selling products that people want to buy. If people want to buy TWSBIs, brilliant. If people want to buy Narwhals, brilliant. But the retailer should be able to choose that themselves. If TWSBI is so worried about this, if TWSBI think they've got some kind of rights to this, why are they going to retailers? Why aren't they going through the courts? You know, why aren't they going to Narwhal? Narwhal is a US-based company. The pens are manufactured in China. So why aren't TWSBI going through the courts to stop Narwhal from creating these, if they're that certain with what they're saying? To me, that is a little bit of a red flag. You know, maybe they're just hoping to muddy the waters rather than solve the situation. I don't know. I say these are just my thoughts and my opinions. I do think that this is a valid conversation that should be had. And I know it's been ongoing for years, really. And chances are it'll be going on for years in the future. And we're not just talking about fountain pens here. Virtually every product that you buy, there's some kind of clone or copy coming from a more inexpensive country. And it's not just China. It's just China's the one that we focus on. I think as long as they're not trying to pass these off as originals, as long as they're letting you know that this is a copy, this is a clone, this is inspired by. Yes, morally, you might say, well, it's not very good. But make sure you know what you're buying. Tell people what they're going to buy. And I think as long as they're doing that, I think, you know, it's something, well, I don't see why not carry on doing it. As I said again at the beginning, let's look at this. This is the 580. It's a tube with a piston in it. How many different ways can you do that? I don't know. As I say, I'm not an engineer. But to me, again, this is one of the questions that this all fetches to my mind. To summarise all this, I know I've rambled on a fair bit. I think what TWSBI are trying to do by generating the attention it needs, I actually think is a good thing. I think it's a conversation that needs to be explored. But most of us, we're not legal experts. We're not engineers. We're not patent experts. It's hard for us to know really the whole story. Most of us, like I've said myself, we only see what we find on the internet. That's very biased because it's based on what we're searching for. It's based on the types of things we read. We're not getting a full story. We're not getting the full picture. So again, it's hard to be able to come up with some real valid reasons and some real valid opinions. Everything I've said is based on what I've been able to find. Everything I said is just my opinion. There's no facts intended here. I know I've said this a few times, but I just want to make sure that you're aware these are my opinions. Now, one of the things I would like to see from this is in the comments down below, I'd love for you to comment about what your thoughts are. I think this is a really good conversation starter. I think this is a way of moving forward. So please drop those comments down below and let's kickstart that more in-depth conversation. Please hit that thumbs up button. I'm hoping you've enjoyed this video. I'm hoping you found that discussion part interesting. I've actually quite enjoyed doing the research for it because it let me dig into areas that I normally just skim over the surface. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.